Good morning, good afternoon, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our show tonight. We're going to start off this show, as we have done many times in the past, with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. I would ask everyone now to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh, yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We appreciate all of our armed forces, whoever they might be. We appreciate the Barbershop Quartet performing the national anthem, one of the world's hardest songs to perform. They did an admirable job. We appreciate all of our armed forces, whoever they might be around the globe. We appreciate our allied men and women in their armed forces for their countries, whoever they might be. God bless them all. May all of these men and women return home safely to their families after their tours of duty end. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the world. And thank you very much for this. Folks, we have some things to talk about. A lot of things to talk about. The first one I want to talk about is a note that someone sent me. I will not identify that person here, but they sent me this a couple days ago. This is an example of what we do for our communities. Because of the holiday, we can't get a furnace service out here until at least tomorrow. This person had called me and asked me what they should do because their carbon monoxide detector was going off in their apartment. I told them simply change out the batteries and then let me know if that fixed it. That carbon monoxide battery change was not what was necessary. I then instructed the person to call their fire department. Call their fire department and tell the dispatcher what was going on. That your carbon monoxide detector was going off, you changed the batteries, and it continued to go off after the battery change. They called the fire department. This person then writes me, we were allowed to come back to our places as long as we used space heaters. They turned off the furnaces. We were allowed to come back into our places as long as we used space heaters, which I hate because I then have to worry about house fires and overloading the system. I have 2 space heaters, which I hate because I have to worry about house fires. But I am currently only using one of them to take the chill off my apartment. I have a good surge protector that I'm plugged into in the living room. I don't want to use the other heater unless absolutely necessary. I wish I had radiant heat enclosed heater instead of these. But I have made sure to keep the one I am using away from combustible items and away from walls. A house fire would be the absolute worst case scenario after what all of us neighbors have been through since yesterday. It turns out the furnace in the basement was putting out 80+% carbon monoxide fumes and was supposed to be replaced at least 3 years ago and never was. Plus, the man in charge of maintaining the place didn't have any detectors in their apartment. They never used the furnace because of their baby. Maybe getting burned and never turned it on until this cold snap. None of them had headaches or anything like that, so they had no clue that they were in danger. The building was sold to another investor, but none of these things were apparently addressed in the inspection report that goes with all real estate exchanges. You really have saved all of our lives, Ron, because you took my call last night. Thanks isn't enough for your advice and instructions. Bless your heart for public safety. I'm warming up under my comforter and feeling a bit warmer. I've been home about 90 minutes. The firefighters reset my carbon monoxide detector and told me where to place it properly within my apartment. So it's working and in a temporary place until I can get maintenance to put it where he suggested for a permanent location. I just left it where he placed it last night. I would feel better if they were having the furnace people out here today. But it's a holiday weekend, and understandable. The property manager is now wondering what else is wrong with the building. Because of the previous maintenance person, and he was a Christian man. It's just blowing my mind that he was so negligent in his dealings with his duties. There were approximately 10 lives on the line because of his negligent mishandling of the place. Anyway, that's the update. You can use this example for future preparedness safety object lessons if you wish to. Fortunately, we had vacancy in the building and no other lives were at risk. Hope you're feeling better today and the pain, if any, is more tolerable. My prayers are with you and yours this day and always. I appreciate that note. This is exactly what we have been stressing for the past 4.5+ years that we have been on the air. It's now been 4 years and 8 months since we first came on the air. We've been trying to save lives around the world. We've been talking about earthquakes. We've been talking about hurricanes. We've been talking about tornadoes, winter, spring, summer, fall storms. We've been talking about all kinds of emergencies around the globe, including wildfires. We've been talking about railroad derailments with chemicals going out into the atmosphere and chemicals leaching into the ground. We've talked about multiple explosions at oil refineries. We've been talking about fires at food processing plants for the past 3 years. This is just one example of emergency management associates attempting to save lives. This is exactly what we've been talking about since day one. I am hoping that more and more people will watch and listen to this program. We have a lot of information that we put out. I hope everyone, if there is an emergency in your house and you don't know what to do, do not hesitate to call me day or night. This person called me later in the evening, right before I was to go to bed. I helped this person. I have no hesitation of doing it again and again and again, and giving information out on this program. I believe that we may have saved millions of lives already. That's what we do. That is exactly what we do. Please, folks, please check your subscriptions to this channel. I just noticed right before I came on the air this evening that YouTube has deleted subscriptions of some of you already today, since last night when I last checked. Check your subscriptions and make sure you're still subscribed to this program. About 60% of people that watch this program are not subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this program. We want you here. We need you here. We need to have you here so we can give you emergency information that could save your life and allow us to tell you about other emergencies happening around the globe. so that all of you know what's going on. This is no longer a program just for the United States of America. This is a worldwide watched and listened to program. From Australia and New Zealand to the south, to Alaska and Canada on the north, going east out into Europe. We have had listeners in Romania. We've had viewers and listeners in Greece. We've had viewers and listeners over in Italy, Croatia. We've had viewers over in the Netherlands, in Switzerland, in Germany. We still have a gentleman and his family in Germany. How do I know that? Because he regularly sends a donation to us, which we greatly appreciate. We have viewers in Scandinavia. Our dear friend Demon Catman in east of England. We have viewers in Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. We have viewers over in Puerto Rico. One of my best friends, who is a police captain with the Puerto Rican police force, watches this program, and he has been on the air with me. Folks, we are a worldwide organization, and we appreciate all of you. Please, folks, subscribe to this program. Your lives may depend on it. Your lives may depend on it. Now, with that said, I want to show you pictures of events happening literally around the world. In Idaho, way up north, just south of the Canadian border, this person put this out on one of our Facebook threads. They're getting dumped on with snow, over 1 inch an hour. They're receiving 1 inch an hour of snow. They're not the only ones. Let's go over to upstate New York. This is just an example of what's going on in upstate New York. Blizzard conditions in Albany and up into northeastern Canada. Last night we had our buddy Canadian Patriot One. His name is Dave. He was on the channel with us last night. He's a very sick man today. I got off the air with him, or not off the air, but I got off the phone with him about 3:30. He's having chronic breathing respiratory problems. Canadian Patriot One is here with us. Thank you so much, Dave, for being with us. He's here in the chat. He says, we must share this show out to all who will listen. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. We appreciate each and every one of you that are here in the chat and who are out here listening and watching this program. Please do not hesitate to chat with us. Okay? We appreciate everybody that's here. Someone just a few minutes ago asked about my pain. Sunday, I had severe back pain. So severe that I could hardly move. That is why I didn't do my Sunday school presentation like I normally do on Sunday. I did our Sunday school program yesterday. I felt it was absolutely necessary that we got it out. People count on us. People count on us. We had 140 people that watched our Sunday school class yesterday morning. We normally have anywhere from 60 to 70 that watch it at the beginning. Yesterday morning we had 140 viewers of our Sunday school class. Our evening program last night, we had almost 800 views. YouTube is suppressing our channel. We've had upwards of over 1,000 viewers on our channel on any given program. YouTube is making sure that they don't report it. Please, folks, come here to view this program. Make sure you're subscribed to this program. Otherwise, you may not get updates such as we're giving you right now. This is a blizzard going on in upstate New York. They're getting nailed. Look at this picture of icicles on a house. That is what we used to see in Fargo, North Dakota, where I used to live. And I'm sure they're going through that even now. It happens all the time during the winter months. Look at this person out shopping in the middle of a blizzard. Another storm showing a heavy machine on a highway. On a highway removing snow. And look at the huge snow pile. And it's not just a snow pile. This is also a snowdrift. That's how much snow is up there in northern New York. Look at the snow here. Snow completely covering a car. Probably covering a car to the tune of 2.5 to 3 feet deep. Imagine that. Then, I want to show you this. This is a picture of 2 horses that a man and his wife invited into their house because it was 40 below zero, 40 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. I don't remember what that is in Celsius, but that is mighty cold. Look at the embedded icicle on the horse's neck. Horses love to be outside, they do. But folks, let's protect our animals. Our best friends are horses, our dogs, our cats, and our other animals that are being subjected to this extreme cold. Let's make sure we take care of them. Okay? It's unreal. Someone brought horses into their house. Unreal. Uncotton picking real. Now, that's not the only report that I have for you today. I want to show you pictures of over in Iceland. Remember Sunday morning, they had another volcanic eruption. This time, the eruption was closer to Grindavik. There were actually 2 eruptions. One farther out from Grindavik, where the berm wall that they had built partially prevented the lava from going into Grindavik. Then this eruption happened closer into Grindavik. Notice the lava plumes, the degassing of this particular eruption. It's no longer erupting. There's no incandescence of lava here. But as you can see, the lava is still hot and it is degassing. Carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide is degassing into the air right next to Grindavik here. Also, look over to the left-hand side where the lava got 3 homes that were destroyed. 3 homes were destroyed over in western Grindavik on Sunday. Look at this. The authorities are now building a larger berm and earthen wall to help protect Grindavik. They are saying they want to reopen Grindavik and invite their citizens back. They're doing everything they can to repair the roads and other areas of Grindavik so it is safe to invite people back. But this earthen wall here would have helped protect Grindavik from what happened on Sunday. That's not the only one. Look at this, guys. See that other lava flow further west of Grindavik? Out to the right of that lava flow. That was the other berm that authorities were building to stop the lava flow from coming into Grindavik. Since then, they're building another wall closer into Grindavik. Now, why did this lava get into Grindavik? Because there was an eruption close in. That was number one. Number two, the lava spread out over a roadway that was an emergency access for the residents of Grindavik. The lava came out of the eruptive fissure and covered the roadway and flowed into Grindavik. Okay? That's what happened on Sunday. This is that lava flow that opened up closer to Grindavik. And you can see where it had destroyed 3 homes there. It could have been more destructive. The lava eruption only lasted 41 hours before it stopped erupting. 41 hours. Those people in Grindavik were evacuated late Saturday night into Sunday morning before the eruption. The residents of Grindavik got lucky. Folks, look at those 2 eruption lava fields here. That gives you an idea what happened in Grindavik on Sunday during the day. Incredible. This is another close-in shot of the lava field. Unreal, guys. Totally unreal. This is another shot showing authorities working to build another earthen wall to protect Grindavik. You can see the heavy machinery here operating on building this new earthen wall. Unreal. These men and women are out there building it day and night to help protect the people. Look at this picture. Again, this is the lava field, and you can see it still degassing. Degassing. Carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide still coming out of the lava field. Now, while that lava looks like it's all right to walk on, it's not. The lava came out of the earth at over 2,500 degrees. While it looks like it's cooled off, it has cooled off some. But that lava is upwards of 15 feet deep in places. There is probably red hot lava beneath this lava crust. It's hot. We still see lava degassing coming from the lava field. The lava field is still warm to the touch. We would not advise anyone to get anywhere near it. Okay? By the way, I got these pictures today from Iceland. They flew a drone over Grindavik. That's how we got the pictures. Look at this. This is one of the main roadways that we showed you a week or so ago when the lava first started erupting. Okay? This roadway that you see repaired had a huge fissure there. They completely closed that fissure. They leveled out the roadway. One part of the roadway had been lifted up above the other section. They had to push that section down into the fissure and also fill that fissure in the rest of the way. Then they repaved it. So they are indeed trying to repair the roadways and the local infrastructure to bring people back into Grindavik. Okay? They're doing their best. Now, one other place here. This is that same lava field that consumed those 3 houses that were destroyed. Right here. This is an example of the housing area. Okay? Homes and businesses here. There's a huge athletic building here, as well as a huge grocery store complex right here. Grindavik is a town of approximately 3,800 residents. It's a huge town. It's a huge town. This is an aerial view, again, looking from the drone, looking over on the far southwestern part of Grindavik, showing the lava field. And you can see the berm that had been built prior to this last eruption. Now, folks, this is not the end of it. They don't believe that the eruptions are going to stop. They believe that any day now there could be another volcanic eruption. There are earthquakes hitting Grindavik. There are earthquakes hitting northwest of Grindavik. They believe that the volcanic plume that has been down underneath Iceland here is moving to the northwest. More earthquakes over on the north shore of Iceland on an island called Grimsey. We showed you pictures of Grimsey, and even yesterday there was a 4.5 earthquake at Grimsey. So earthquakes are still hitting Iceland. The rift zone, we showed you a map. I don't have the map up here on the software tonight, or I'd show it to you. The rift zone is still expected to open up and pour lava out of it. Now, this is not going to be a typical volcanic eruption, as you've seen. This is a volcanic eruption where a fissure opens up and pours lava out of it. It's not a stratovolcano. It's not anything like that. It's a fissure that opens up and lava pours out of it. Huge molten lava fountains pouring out of the fissure. They fully expect to see that again. Hopefully nowhere near Grindavik. Hopefully nowhere near Grindavik. Scientists are saying it still could happen, but they're hoping it won't. As the lava moves north, they're hoping to get residents back into Grindavik. They're doing their best right now to repair the infrastructure of Grindavik to bring people home again. People came home to Grindavik just 2 days before Christmas on December 23rd. On Saturday night, Sunday morning this past weekend, they had to be evacuated again. Hopefully that will not happen again. Okay, I wanted to show you these pictures because I felt it necessary for everybody to know what's going on. We have one person that I have conversations with, a professor over in Reykjavik at the University of Iceland. He's a great guy. He speaks great English. And he's been giving us a lot of information, and I greatly appreciate that. Anyway, guys, a lot of things are still happening. Let's go over and look first at the USGS map. Okay, I want to show you this. Let's turn off our banner here. Let's look at this map. This is important that we realize what is going on around our world. We want to save lives. We deserve to save lives, and people deserve our help. Over here, northeast of Mindanao, Philippines, today we had a 5.6 earthquake. A 5.6 earthquake that was 51 kilometers deep. But it wasn't that. It wasn't just one earthquake. It was 3 others. I want to show you something. Again, USGS has no clue. They still believe that they don't have to show what's going on, which is a sad state of affairs. A very sad state of affairs. 3 other earthquakes. Now I want to show you this because USGS just barely, actually USGS didn't do it, the EMSC, the European agency, took it down. They took the 5.6 off here. They're showing 3 other earthquakes here. All of these earthquakes are small earthquakes. 3.4, 3.5, and 3.2s here. Okay? Why did the EMSC take it down? They are the last ones to ever do that. Usually the first one is the USGS. But in this case today, there were 4 earthquakes. 4 earthquakes, a 5.6, a 3.4, a 3.5, and a 3.2. This earthquake happened at 7:32 a.m. this morning. So less than 12 hours later, the EMSC took the earthquake down. Fortunately, the USGS still has it, but they omitted data. They omitted other earthquakes. This 5.6 was just barely 26 kilometers east of Mindanao, Philippines. At that close range, it's likely that people on Mindanao, Philippines here felt that earthquake. Possibly not a 5.6, but a large 5.0. Unreal. These are not the only earthquakes that hit here either. It's sad. It's sad. Look at what USGS is telling everyone is going on here. They're showing 2 earthquakes over here in northern Sumatra. This one's a 4.7 moderate quake, 55 kilometers deep. Further out to the south and west, we have a 4.2 here. 17 kilometers deep. But that's not all, folks. There's more. Let me pull this out here. I want to show you what's going on. Over in the Andaman Islands. The Andaman Islands. We have a 3.7 here. Just south of there, there's another 4.1 earthquake here. A moderate 4.1 earthquake. Okay? That 4.1 is 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep. They show 2 earthquakes here. That's interesting. There are 4 earthquakes. One just north of Sumatra. This one is another 4.0 earthquake here. We show you the other 2. South of those 3 earthquakes, we have a 3.3 there in northern Sumatra. They're not showing us that, are they? Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Eastern Java, a 3.3. A 3.3. They're not showing that either. One to the north, Gorontalo, Indonesia. Gorontalo, Indonesia. They're showing this one. This one's a 4.5. A moderate 4.5 here. Okay? How about over in Australia? Over here in Australia. This time, southwestern Australia. Southwestern Australia right here. This is a 2.77 minor earthquake. A 2.77 minor earthquake here. They're not showing it, are they? Heaven forbid they show anything going on of any consequence anywhere. They're showing one earthquake over here in Papua, Indonesia. This is a large 5.0. We've had large 5.0s and even a 6.0 very strong quake here just about a month ago. This is a large 5.0 earthquake, 39 kilometers deep. Now, this is near Aveyah, Indonesia. 120 kilometers southwest of Aveyah, Indonesia. This is a very popular place for earthquakes. Earthquakes have been hitting here for a very, very long time. We've been reporting on them. This is not a heavily populated area. This is over just north of the mountainous region here in Papua, Indonesia. There are people that live here. This is a second-rate country. I hate even saying that. This is a country that has all kinds of earthquakes, but the people here do not always have adequate housing, and an earthquake of this nature can destroy their housing very easily. Okay? So 5.0 in Aveyah, Indonesia. Interesting. Interesting. But did you know something else? Just barely off the coast is a small 3.7 earthquake. There wasn't just one 5.0, but a 3.7 just north off the coast. Okay? Again, why do they not give us the necessary information? USGS, I'm talking to you. Richard Smith is saying a 2.8 off the island of Hawaii. Yeah. And another 3.2 in Austria. Over in the Northern Mariana Islands, we have another 5.0 earthquake here. Northern Mariana Islands, we have another large 5.0 there. Interesting. This one they talked about. They showed it. They're not showing any earthquakes over here in Japan. This is just like this agency, refusing to report active events. This is NATO or NATO, NATO Peninsula over here in Japan. This is the location of a major earthquake. It came out as a 7.8, they downgraded to a 7.5, and we showed you evidence that was actually at least an 8.4. An 8.4. They're not showing anything here. Look at this, guys. There's a 2.4 earthquake there. 2.4. A 2.6 and another 2.4 there. 3 2s here. USGS says nothing. Not a darn thing. They're not reporting anything. Now, I want to back up here. Going to back out of Japan. Let's go up here into the Aleutian Islands. At least this time, USGS is reporting this. Okay? This is over near Adak, Alaska. 259 kilometers west of Adak, Alaska. This is a small 3.0 earthquake. Interesting. They're not reporting anything else here. Nothing else here. Why? They're showing 2 earthquakes. One down here in the Gulf of Alaska. This is a 2.6 earthquake. 2.4 kilometers deep. 1 mile deep. They're showing one other earthquake over here in Denali National Park. This time they're saying it is east-southeast of Denali National Park. Really? It looks to me, and all of you, that this is in Denali National Park, not southeast of it. This is a 2.5 earthquake. A 2.5 earthquake. That's interesting. There's also another earthquake just southeast of Mount Redoubt. This is in Nikiski, Alaska. Nikiski, Alaska. This is a 2.1 earthquake here. They're not showing that either. Usually there are about 60 earthquakes in Alaska. Neither USGS or the European Agency are showing those earthquakes. None. None. Why not? Why not? Let's go over to Hawaii. Richard Smith showed us we had some earthquakes here. Over here on the Big Island. Of course, they're not going to show all the earthquakes here. They never do. A new earthquake. A 2.6 over here in Pahala. 2.6 in Pahala. This is 32 kilometers deep. This is a 2.5. 34 kilometers deep. Folks, usually we had, before they stopped reporting on earthquakes here, usually we had anywhere between 15 to 30 earthquakes every day here in Pahala. They did not go away. The agency just decided not to show them, to not report on them. Now, folks, they're showing 2 earthquakes here. One that just happened. There are 2 other earthquakes here. 2 others. This is a 2.1. Also in Pahala. Here is a 2.55. Also in Pahala. The EMSC, the European agencies, are reporting 4 earthquakes instead of 2. There's probably 15 to 20 here. Pahala, folks, is where lava, or I shouldn't say lava, magma in this case, magma is beneath the ground, lava is above the ground. Magma from a very deep plume. Let me back this out again. Magma comes here from a very deep plume down here in the South Pacific. That deep plume sends magma to all the volcanoes around the world. Here in Pahala, Pahala is the distribution point for magma to all the volcanoes around this island. This area has magma tunnels that take the magma here to Kilauea. Holly Mau Mau crater here at Kilauea. Or Kilauea, Holly Mau Mau crater. Okay? Same difference. Also this volcano, Mauna Loa here. Mauna Loa. And one other volcano right here to the north. This is Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea. There's also one other one here. Right here. This is Hualalai. Hualalai volcano over here to the northwest. Every one of these volcanoes receive lava, magma here underneath the ground. Rarely do they report any kind of earthquakes here at Hualalai, only occasionally. They report more earthquakes down here at Mauna Loa than they ever report almost anywhere else. They report earthquakes caused by magma beneath Mauna Loa. But folks, I've explained this before. There are actually more earthquakes here at Mauna Kea than Mauna Loa. Yet they're not showing any here at either Kilauea, Mauna Loa, or Mauna Kea. Interesting. One day, maybe next week, I will show you earthquakes here in Hawaii. I'll show you seismograms showing all the earthquakes here, because these agencies won't report them. They don't believe it's necessary. Let's go down here off the coast of South America. This is also a large earthquake out here. This is southeast Central Pacific Ocean. This is a 5.1 large earthquake here. Okay? They're showing one lousy earthquake over in Chile. There are 14 earthquakes here in Chile. This one is in northern Chile, Tarapacá, Chile region. A 4.4 earthquake. 79 kilometers southeast of Tirana, Chile. This is 108 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow earthquake. Over here in Puerto Rico. Actually, let's go west of Puerto Rico. This is in the Mona Passage. The Mona Passage. This is a moderate 4.0 earthquake here. Earthquakes happen here in the Mona Passage all the time. Usually they're just north of the Mona Passage. The Mona Passage is down here between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Today here in Puerto Rico, 3 earthquakes, actually more than that. 5 to 6 earthquakes here. Down here in southern Puerto Rico. Okay? This is where we had an 8.0 earthquake and an 8.4 earthquake, December 26th and December 28th, 2019, caused by that agency within the government. An agency within the government. Fancy that. Fancy that. What are the chances that we will have an agency that develops these instruments of war? These high-tech antennas, or what should I say, an antenna farm, that throw out ultra-high frequency waves. Ultra-high frequency waves that alter the weather, alter cloud cover, and send out communication to submarines. But they also use this organization, 3 different ones in this case, that triangulated Puerto Rico in 2019. December 26th and December 28th. We found them. We found the organizations that did it. This one did it. They have a facility in Norway that they lit up. They had a facility also over in Russia that they lit up. And one in northwestern Australia that they lit up. They triangulated Puerto Rico, causing an 8.0 earthquake to hit there on December 26th. A major 8.0 earthquake. And on December 28th they did it again, but this time it was 400 times more powerful. An 8.4 earthquake. Killing people. Killing people, destroying buildings, destroying homes, structures. They even opened up a fissure in Puerto Rico. They killed people. Today we're having earthquakes here again. Aftershocks of those destructive earthquakes from 2019. This one is a 2.5. This one is a 2.8. These are south of Puerto Guerra, Puerto Rico. This is a 4.4 south of Guanica, Puerto Rico, where my friend Dominic lives. This is a 2.9. This, folks, is a 3.1. This is a 3.2 south of Guanica, Puerto Rico. The second major earthquake hit right over here. There was a huge sandstone arch on the shoreline here in Puerto Rico. The second 8.4 major earthquake destroyed that sandstone structure. It was a huge sandstone arch, similar to what you would see in Arches National Park in Utah, the United States. They destroyed it, as well as a lot of buildings and homes, and they killed people. Apparently, it's okay to kill people because we allowed it to happen. Interesting. Over here, south of central Puerto Rico, this is a 2.5. South-southeast of Maria Antonia, Puerto Rico. This one is over in north central Puerto Rico. This is a 3.1. I do not think that this earthquake had anything to do with the 8.0 and 8.4 earthquakes that hit here 4 years ago. This is something different. It's a small 3.1 earthquake. Okay? That's what happened here. Let's go out here southeast of there. This is a 4.0 moderate earthquake. This earthquake happened just after 4 p.m. Eastern Time here northeast of Puerto Rico and northwest of Charlotte Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands. A 4.0 earthquake. This is a 3.9. Also northwest of Cruz Bay, U.S. Virgin Islands. These earthquakes were dropped off by this earthquake fault. This earthquake fault originates over in South America, down here in Guatemala. This same earthquake fault leaves Guatemala here. Okay? It runs south of the Cayman Islands here. It's the Cayman Trench here. It runs south of the Cayman Islands and continues eastbound here. It runs north of Jamaica and skirts Cuba here. It goes north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, dropping off earthquakes there occasionally. But they're not talking about earthquakes in the Dominican Republic today. Usually there's 1 or 2 there every day. There's none here. Okay? They decided nobody needs to know it. Nobody needs to know it. That's just like them. They just don't care. Right now they're not showing any earthquakes over here in the southern mid-Atlantic area. They're not showing any earthquakes at all here, anywhere in the mid-Atlantic. Now folks, we're going to talk a little bit about the mid-Atlantic here, because we're going to talk about the New Madrid Fault. Folks, what do you need to know? What do you need to know about the Mid-Atlantic Fault? There are earthquakes there. They're just not showing them. They're not showing them. Let me show you something. Over in the Azore Islands, just east of the Mid-Atlantic Fault, we have a 2.2 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake. Over here in the Azore Islands, just east of the Mid-Atlantic Fault. Right next to it, we have a 2.8 earthquake here. There are earthquakes over here in the central Mid-Atlantic. This is actually the North Atlantic. USGS is not even talking about them. The EMSC is not hardly showing other earthquakes there at all. USBS is not even showing any earthquakes up here in Iceland. Let me show you this. Bardarbunga, a moderate 4.0 earthquake here. This is northwest of Grindavik. Up north of there, Yorguder, a 2.4 earthquake here, just off the north coast of Iceland. At least the USGS is not doing it, but the EMSC is. Okay? So we're still seeing activity there. Fascinating. Fascinating. What happened in Spain today? Or shall I say, the near or just east of the Strait of Gibraltar area here. Spain and east of the Strait of Gibraltar. We have 4 earthquakes just east of the Strait, actually 5 earthquakes just east of the Strait of Gibraltar. 2.3, a 2.5, a 2.2, a 2.2, and a 2.0 east of the Strait of Gibraltar. They're not showing that, are they? Heaven forbid that they show us anything. Southern Spain. Here's a 2.2 in southern Spain. A populated area, in fact. Okay? EMSC showing it. Over in northern Italy, the south coast of France area, this is a 2.1 earthquake. Northeast of Italy in the south coast of France. Okay? That was a 2.1. North Italy, Piedmont, Italy, we have a 2.7 there. A 2.7. Interesting, huh? What else is going on? Austria. 3.3 earthquake in Austria today. Also, a 2.1. A 3.3 and a 2.1 in Austria. Fascinating. Fascinating. USGS says nothing. Not anything. Nothing. Okay? Again in northern Italy. Emilia Romagna, Italy. A 2.2 here. Northern Italy. We go south almost, well, it's just north of central Italy. Lazio, Italy. Here's a 3.1. A 3.1 there. Then, more earthquakes here over in Sicily. Off the North Sicilian, they call it Sicilian, or Sicilian, we have 2 earthquakes. We have a 2.7 and a 2.0. Just off the coast of Sicily, to the north. Then in central Sicily, wonderful thing, a 2.0 and a 2.1 here. Central Sicily. Fascinating. How about Greece, guys? How about Greece? They're not showing anything here. Why not? Why are they not showing anything here in Greece? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to show you something. The Aegean Sea. Up here in the Aegean Sea. This is a 3.1. Small 3.1. Just north of Athens, we have a 3.2. North of Athens. Over on the western side, south of the Ionian Sea, This is a 2.2. 2.2. They're not showing anything. On the fault, the edge of the plate, we have another 3.1 here, just south of mainland Greece. A 3.1 small quake. Fascinating. Just off the southern coast of Crete, the southern coast of Crete, we have a 2.7 here. Okay? Over here in the Mediterranean, 4 earthquakes here. 4 earthquakes between Greece and the Volcanic Islands. Okay? We have a 2.0, a 2.3, another 2.3, and another 2.0. 2's over here in the Mediterranean. Folks, what do you think's going on? Why are they not talking about it? In the southern Volcanic Islands, the Volcanic Islands are right next to western Turkey. The Volcanic Islands belong to Greece. Here's a 3.2 in the southern Volcanic Islands. Just north of there, 2 earthquakes in southwestern Turkey. A 2.2 and another 2.0. Okay? Not reported by the ever-loving USGS, who is not reporting any earthquakes at all here in Turkey. None at all. Briefly, northern Turkey, 2.9, 3.0. Okay? Central Turkey, another 2.1 here. 2.1 in Central Turkey. Eastern Turkey, 2.9. 2.9, 3.0. Southeastern Turkey, a 2.1. Right here. Look at the other earthquakes here. Where are they at? They're in the same region, folks. The same region where we had a 9.0, 10.0 this time last year. Here we have 2 2.0 earthquakes up here in the Turkey-Syria border region. The same area where we had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here last year this time. January, February 2023. .1 north of there in Turkey. Southeast of there, another 2.6 also in Turkey. USGS says nothing. Not a thing. Why? Why don't they want us to know what's going on? Okay? Inquiring minds want to know. Why are they not reporting earthquakes over here in Pakistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan area? Let's look into this. There's a 4.8. There's a 4.8 earthquake here in Uzbekistan. 4.8 earthquake, and also a 3.9, 4.0 here. Right there. A 4.8 and a 3.9, 4.0 right there. Okay? Out to the east, Tajikistan, Another 3.9, 4.0 earthquake here. Northeast of there, a 3.5, a 3.5, and another 3.5 right there. 3 of them. USGS says nothing. Oh, they didn't happen. They don't exist. The Russia-Mongolia region. Up here in Russia, in the Russia-Mongolia region, there's another 4.1 earthquake here. Okay? Now, I've given you a little tour around the world, just to let you know what's happening. No, we don't have any very strong 6.0 or larger. We don't have any major earthquakes, luckily. That is going to change. All it's going to take is another CME launched off the sun, and we're going to have 6s and 7s all over again. Okay? It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. This agency doesn't even want us to realize what's going on. I just showed you approximately 100 earthquakes around the world. USGS shows 34 earthquakes worldwide. I just got through showing you over 100 earthquakes. The EMSC, the European agency, is not showing you all of the earthquakes either. There are over 299 earthquakes worldwide. I just got through showing you over 100. Why are they not showing them? Inquiring minds want to know. Let's go over here to the United States briefly, because I want to talk about what's going on the New Madrid Fault. We're only going to show you briefly what's going on because, again, USGS has no intention of telling us what is happening. This is just east and north of the Cascadia subduction zone area. This, folks, is on the Mendocino Fault, which is just east of this other fault zone that is connected to the Cascadia subduction zone. Isn't that interesting? Okay? This is Hayfork, California, a 2.6 earthquake. Just northeast of there, also another 2.8 in that same area. Okay? Isn't it interesting how they show us only 2 earthquakes in California, when there's probably over 150 earthquakes? Probably over 150 earthquakes. They are not even reporting any earthquakes at all here in the geysers. Typically, there's 20 to 30 earthquakes here in the geysers. Why? Because, folks, men have drilled into this volcano here that's just north of the geysers. This is the Clear Lake volcano. They have drilled into this volcano. When seismic energy finds the drill points, they become man-made earthquake faults. Before they stopped reporting on these earthquakes, there was typically anywhere from 20 to 30 earthquakes every day here. Today they're not reporting any at all. None. None. Why not? California. California, guys, they're not reporting anything there. 2 earthquakes in Northern California, and that's all. Folks, there are over 150 earthquakes in California. Over 150 earthquakes in California. They're showing us 1 earthquake in Yellowstone. A 2.5 earthquake here. I just lost, here it is. A 2.5 earthquake here. For once, they got the location right. This is in Yellowstone. Okay? Notice where Yellowstone Lake is here. This is southwest of Yellowstone Lake. This is a 2.5 earthquake, 6 kilometers deep. 6 kilometers deep. They're not showing us any other earthquakes here. Why not? Why are they not showing us any other earthquakes? Inquiring minds want to know. Folks, Southwest Texas. Let me show you what's going on in Southwest Texas. We have a 2.3. We have a 2.0. Sorry, folks, just a second. We have a 2.3. We have a 2.0 right there. Toya, Texas. Yes, they're showing us a couple earthquakes here. Okay? They're not showing everything. I just showed you 2 of the earthquakes. Here's another 2.0 in Coyanosa, Texas. Okay? And that's not all, folks. There's another one. Westbrook, Texas. This is a 2.8 earthquake. All of these earthquakes here are oil and gas related. Oil and gas pumping operations here. All of them. USGS is showing us one other earthquake here in Westbrook. That's interesting, because there's one other earthquake north of there. Amber, Oklahoma. Amber, Oklahoma. This is a 2.7 earthquake. Why are we having earthquakes here? Number one, it's an oil and gas pumping operation. Number two, just south of there, south and east of there, we have the New Madrid Fault. Last week we had 40 earthquakes here. 40 earthquakes here near Amber and Edmonds, Oklahoma. Amber and Edmonds, Oklahoma, 40 earthquakes. The largest was a moderate 4.5. We're still getting 2s, minor earthquakes there. USBS not showing anything here in the New Madrid area. Not a thing. EMSC not showing anything there either. Folks, there are plenty of earthquakes here. Let me assure you, there are plenty of earthquakes here. Tons of them. Let me show you what is going on in the New Madrid region. Okay? Right here. This is a map of the New Madrid Fault here. The New Madrid Fault starts in the northern Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana and Arkansas area. It stretches up into southeastern Oklahoma and as far north as the Great Lakes. Okay? As far north as the Great Lakes. It also extends out into the northeastern United States, Ohio and Indiana, and points north. Let me tell you a little bit about the New Madrid Fault. I have not told the history of the New Madrid Fault in a long time. I think everybody should know what's going on here at the New Madrid Fault. Okay. New Madrid-sized events have occurred here in this area before 1811, when the last huge New Madrid earthquake occurred. There is evidence of similar activity that's been found that dated back to 900 AD, and again in 1450 AD. Current research has indicated large quake activity going back at least 5,000 years. Damaging earthquakes have occurred on the New Madrid fault zone since. In a letter dated March 20th, 1816, school teacher Eliza Bryan wrote to Methodist minister Lorenzo Dale, quote, this is what Eliza Bryan wrote to him, quote, the awful dark of the atmosphere was saturated with sulfurous vapor, sulfur dioxide, 1816. The violence of the tempestuous, thundering noise and all of the other phenomena formed a scene, the description of which would require the most sublimely fanciful imagination. She was talking about an event that she witnessed on February 7th, 1812. February 7th, 1812. The earthquake started in late December 1811. The largest is what we called the New Madrid earthquakes. The largest earthquakes in U.S. history east of the Mississippi River are still somewhat of a mystery to both scientists and historians. There were few first-hand accounts from that sparsely populated land describing the events, and they painted a very grim picture indeed. Now I'm going to show you some pictures that came from plates, steel plates and aluminum plates that the people of this generation made. Okay? This is 1811 to 1912. This is the area where the earth lifted up here on the New Madrid seismic zone. This is just above Reelfoot Lake in Tennessee. Just above Reelfoot Lake in Tennessee. The history of the New Madrid seismic zone deserves to be remembered as situated on an oxbow bend on the Mississippi River. Right here. The city of New Madrid is on the north side of the oxbow of the Mississippi River. The Missouri State Historical Society wrote a history here. I'm only going to show you, or not show you, but share with you a short history. The city of New Madrid was the first American town in Missouri. The site of New Madrid had been a prime location for local Indian tribes long before the coming of the Europeans. The French first arrived in the 17th century here. The town of New Madrid was established in 1789 by a land developer, an American War for Independence veteran, George Morgan. The Historical Society recalls named for Madrid, Spain. The town was to be an American colony. Morgan was promised 15 million acres by the Spanish settlers. and the Spanish ambassador agreed to check U.S. expansion for larger land grants. The bend in the river was a natural landing point for boats on the river. Missouri Life notes the location seemed ideal for farming, as well as for fur trading, because the lands had higher than that around it, ostensibly protected from river flooding, hills and short mountains. That area was protected from flooding. The settlement at first, because of its location next to the Mississippi River, was difficult. The area was very remote. A Spanish census in the 1790s showed a respectable 800 people living here in the town of New Madrid. It was part of the vast territory of Louisiana, which had first seen European claim by the French. It got handed off to the Spanish in 1762. After the end of the French and Indian War, it was handed from the Spanish to the French in 1801, and then sold by the French to the United States. In 1803, New Madrid, it's not clear when the name pronunciation changed from Madrid to New Madrid. It was a growing river farming community by 1811. Living in Missouri explained for years after the establishment of New Madrid, the settlers were French, British, and American. They lived in their log and frame homes in relative security. By the winter of 1811, the bulk of the season's work had been done. Crops had been harvested. Supplies of food and stores of wood had been laid out for the winter. The first shock came in December 1811. Eliza Bryan writes on the 16th of December 1811, at about 2 a.m., we were visited by a violent shock of an earthquake. The screams of the frightened individuals, running to and fro, not knowing where to go or what to do. The cries of the fowl and the beasts of every species was howling. The cracking of the trees falling. The roaring of the Mississippi River, the current of which was in retrograde, meaning it ran backwards. It ran north for 7 minutes. The Mississippi River stopped running south for 7 minutes, which formed the Reelfoot Lake. This, Eliza Bryan said, it was a scene truly horrible, because as the USGS notes, in the central and eastern regions of the U.S., the seismic energy experiences a low rate of absorption. A low rate of absorption, meaning that this area was shaking for a very, very long time. Earthquake centered around New Madrid. It was felt over a very great distance. The USGS contrasts the effects of a Midwestern earthquake as opposed to earthquakes on the West Coast, where the Earth's crust better absorbs the seismic energy. It can be estimated that the New Madrid earthquakes, the area of intensity is 5 or greater times more than the West Coast of the U.S. Now, people in this region will feel this earthquake when it hits again. They're already feeling remnants of this earthquake now, because there are earthquakes hitting here regardless of whether the agency wants to admit it or not. Folks, the area where this earthquake is going to hit is approximately 2.5 million square kilometers. 2.5 million square kilometers. This can be contrasted with the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, for which the area of intensity was 4 or greater times of 150,000 square kilometers. Only 150,000 square kilometers, where the New Madrid fault was affected 2.5 million square kilometers. John Reynolds, who would later become governor of Illinois, wrote in his autobiography that his family felt the earthquake 230 miles away in the town of Vincennes, Illinois. Actually, that should be Vincennes, Indiana. There's no Vincennes in Illinois. It's Vincennes, Indiana. He said, quote, "Our family was all sleeping in a cabin. My father leaped up and screamed, 'The Indians are at our door!' We all laughed at my father's mistake. But we soon found out it was worse than the Indians. Following the initial quake in December, Brian wrote that the earth was in constant agitation with another major shock on January 23rd. But the worst came on February 7th at about 4 a.m. in the morning. A concussion took place, so much more violent than those that preceded it, that it was a dominated hard shock. Matthias M. Speed was a riverboat captain on the Mississippi River. One of many playing trade up and down the Mississippi River on the night of February 6, 1812. He had tied off to a willow bar crop of trees on the shoreline, north of New Madrid. As was a common practice, they lashed their boats to other river barges who lashed them to trees for the night. His account was printed in several newspapers about 3 o'clock in the morning of the 7th. He says, "We were waked by the violent agitation of the boat, attended with a noise more tremendous and terrible than I can even describe or anyone can even conceive who is not present or near such a scene. The constant discharge of heavy cannon fire may give you some idea of the noise for loudness. But this was infinitely more terrible on account of its appraising to be subterraneous, meaning the quaking was beneath the ground." Brian wrote that at first the Mississippi was soon to recede from its banks, and its waters gathering up like a mountain, leaving for a moment. Up like a mountain, leaving for a moment. Many boats which were here on the way to New Orleans were bare on the sand. The river then rose up 15 or 20 feet perpendicularly, and it expanded as it were at the same moment. The banks of the river were overflown with retrograde current. In other words, what he's describing is the Mississippi River running backwards for 7 minutes, as the torrent speed took his boat into the river as the trees at the shore were falling. His boat was in the river pulling the trees from the shoreline. He reported after getting out so far as to be out of danger from the trees which were falling from the bank. The swells from the river were so great as to threaten the sinking of every boat at the moment. Mr. Speed was not the only one whose boat was in danger. A newspaper from Lexington, Kentucky, reported one gentleman, Mr. Vatner, Vatner, He stated that the earthquake that occurred during the night of January 7th, 1812, occasioned his barge with 600 barrels of flour, besides other articles. They sunk to the bottom of the river. The entire boat was lost. Ventnor was also quoted in the Pennsylvania Gazette, saying that they were on shore 5 miles below New Madrid on Friday morning, the 7th of January. This time, the hard shock, and the water filled their barge and sunk it with all of its contents, losing everything but the clothes that they had on. Once they got to New Madrid, half of the landing was gone. Half of their loading that had been on the boat was gone. There was no price sufficient for the hire of a new boat. Now, I'm going to offer you an explanation for the earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. Over the past 4,500 years, a number of major earthquakes of magnitude 7.0 to 8.0 have happened in the New Madrid seismic zone. 7.0 to 8.0 have happened in the New Madrid seismic zone. These events included clusters of large earthquakes that dated back to 2350 before Christ and 900 years after that, and 1450 years after that. The region also experienced 2 large earthquakes since 1812, one located in Charleston, Missouri. By the way, there are no earthquakes apparent in Charleston, Missouri today. The seismograms show nothing. 2 large earthquakes in 1812. One in Charleston, Missouri, actually since 1812, in Charleston, Missouri on October 31st, 1895. That was a magnitude 6.7. And one located near Lepanto, Arkansas on January 5th, 1843. Magnitude 7.6. The causes of the New Madrid earthquakes, however, are not well understood, and there are a number of hypotheses that are out there that have been posted in history books and also in encyclopedias and all over the internet. The seismic events so far come from tectonic plate boundary movement. Tectonic plate boundary movement. Some scientists suggest that the faulting of the New Madrid seismic zone is a result of an underground hotspot, a section of the Earth's upper mantle that upwells. It upwells to melt through the crust. Other scholars maintain that the weakening of the Earth's crust in this area was caused by downcutting or river incursion, water seeping out of the Mississippi into the earth, into the crust. Okay? They said that possibly happened 10,000 to 16,000 years ago. Imagine that. Now, the following is what I believe is the real cause of the New Madrid Fault in the New Madrid seismic zone, ranging from the Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana, and Arkansas, all the way north to the Great Lakes, the New Madrid seismic zone. There is compelling evidence that exists to support the notion that the earthquakes arose from activity occurring along the Reelfoot Rift. The Reelfoot Rift. That is where the Reelfoot Lake is today. An ancient subterranean rift zone thought to have developed some 500 million years ago, after geologic forces pulled the region in a northwest-southeast direction. Adherence to this hypothesis suggests that after hundreds of millions of years of relative inactivity, the pressures of the faults had again built up from the east-west compression of the North American plate. The east-west compression of the North American plate. What are we talking about here? Recently, as of the last year or so ago, we know that scientists have talked about activity on the New Madrid Fault. They have also talked about activity coming from the North Atlantic. The Atlantic plate pushing on the North American continent, on the North American plate, pushing the North American plate in a south-southwesterly direction, and the Pacific plate to the west, subducting underneath the North American plate, causing seismic pressure to build up from the west headed east. We've seen that happen. We have records of that happening. Seismic energy leaving California, Oregon, and Washington and heads east. There is evidence of that. In 2006, Canadian scientist Alessandro Forte proposed an alternate explanation. He said that movement along the fault was caused by local changes in the mantle flow beneath the New Madrid seismic zone. Using high-resolution seismic tomography, earth-penetrating radar, he said he found evidence that the remains of the Farallon slab, where have we heard that word before? The Farallon plate. Off the north coast of Washington, off the southwest coast of Canada. The Farallon plate. He said he has found evidence that the remains of the Farallon slab, a small tectonic plate that subducted beneath the northwestern parts of the North American plate some 70 million years ago. He said these may be indirectly responsible for the faulting of the New Madrid. He noted that remnants lie directly beneath the New Madrid seismic zone at the present time. As this material continues to descend deep into the mantle, it changes the pattern of the mantle's viscous flow behind it, which may stress the continental crust above it, the New Madrid seismic zone. Now, there is moderate earthquake risk. In the 21st century, scientists, federal and state officials, as well as municipal officials located within the New Madrid seismic zone, has shown a great deal of interest in mitigating the potential effects of damage associated with future earthquake faults, with future earthquakes in the region. Everyone is aware that modern cities and towns up and down the entire New Madrid seismic zone exist. They have substantially larger human populations than during the 19th century, when the earthquake fault first gave up its strength. And these scientists, federal and state officials, agree that the occurrence of major earthquakes in the region comparable to those during the years of 1811 and 1812 and that seismic sequence would produce tremendous loss of life and billions of dollars in property damage. Consequently, the scientists have monitored the region's ongoing seismic activity since the 1970s. This is the research that I have done. Some scientists have developed probability models to determine the region's future earthquake risk. In addition, some municipalities that we've talked about here on this program, where we showed you seismic activity at, such as Carbondale, Illinois. These towns and cities have developed disaster plans and adopted stricter building codes. In 2011, I was part of a team of about 500 individuals who designed and developed an earthquake drill. We exercised that drill in April 2011. That drill covered all the nuances that the modern-day New Madrid region's residents would be confronted with. This New Madrid region is now populated with millions more people in a very high-density populated areas that will be affected by the earthquake. More millions and millions of people live in this region than lived there during the years of 1811 and 1812. Now, we hope that what we have done will offer a better idea of what will happen when the New Madrid fault releases again. Tonight, we are going to look at seismograms in this area and show you exactly what is presently happening to give everyone a better idea about when this earthquake is going to hit again. Let's go over and take a look at these seismograms. Okay? I want to make sure that everybody is aware of what is going on here. Okay? This is Catfish Pond, Arkansas. In the past, we've seen larger quakes than what we're showing you here. Now, early this morning, way early this morning, okay? Let me enlarge this so you can see it. Way early this morning, the top of this seismogram starts off at midnight. After midnight, at approximately 12:25 this morning, there was at least a 3.5 earthquake. You can see it here on this blue line. There was at least a 3.5 earthquake. You notice other tremors here as well, all up and down this seismogram all morning long. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Unfortunately, nothing else happened this afternoon. This afternoon's seismogram was blank. Let's look at Little Rock, Little River, Arkansas. This morning. Let me make it smaller, pull it down so you can see what happened. Early this morning for over an hour and a half. We had some tremors, didn't we? Then after 1:10 a.m. this morning, there was at least 2.5 to 2.9 earthquakes here. At 1:10, 1:11 a.m. this morning. Basically, 3.0 small activity. Some people may have felt this activity. Most people will not feel a 3.0 or a 2.5, 2.9. These earthquakes hit here early this morning. Little Rock, Arkansas. After that, all we basically see are tremors. All that we see here are tremors except after 9:30 this morning. At 9:38 this morning, there was another 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Little Rock, Arkansas. Let me show you the seismogram from this afternoon. Look at this. A couple hours later, this at 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At 12:07 this afternoon, I believe we had what is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake, possibly as large as a 3.0 earthquake. Started off with tremor activity, didn't it? And tremor activity after that. Little Rock, Arkansas, guys, on the western side of the New Madrid Fault. That's not all, folks. There's more. Let's look at Marktree, Arkansas. Marktree, Arkansas. Look at the seismic energy here today, this morning. Over on the right side, this is at 12:56 a.m. this morning. Started off with tremors before that, about 12:45, actually not 12:45, about 12:55 a.m. this morning. Tiny tremors. Those tiny tremors were a foreshock of at least 2.9 magnitude earthquake activity. This seismic activity lasted for about a minute and a half. There were tremors before it happened, and off to the right hand side we have secondary wave that lasted over 2 minutes long. A secondary wave that lasted 2 minutes long, which shows me that they have turned down the seismograph. This seismic event right here should actually be bigger based on the secondary wave. And even the body wave after that. We had other tremors here, as you can see. Some short-term duration tremors early this morning. Then, let me enlarge this so you can see it. Okay? Let's bring it up here. Just before 6 a.m., we had some tremor activity that lasted about 3 minutes. Starts off with just microquake activity, slowly becoming 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 tremors, then becoming 2.0 earthquakes. The primary seismic sequence lasted about a minute and a half. Off to the right of that, the secondary wave lasted nearly 2 minutes. The body wave lasted another 13 minutes long. Then after that, just after 6:25 a.m. this morning, we had another earthquake. If this was not a 3.0, it was close to it. Noting that this seismogram already has shown an earlier earthquake to be larger, this was probably at least a 3.2 to 3.5 earthquake here in the red. Okay? On the left hand side, this would be 6:15. Over here, this would be about 6:25 when it started. And this lasted almost a minute and a half. The body wave lasted another minute and a half. Then we had, secondary wave lasted a minute and a half. Then we had a body wave that lasted probably a full 8 minutes. Look at the other tremors here this morning. The last major tremor existed after 11:50 a.m. this morning. Marktree, Arkansas. We've actually had more earthquakes here in the past. This is very small compared to what we've seen here in the past. Earthquakes this afternoon. Look at this. Only one good-sized earthquake this afternoon. Another smaller one than that. This happened after 12:37 p.m. this afternoon. This primary seismic event lasted about 2 minutes. Then we had a body wave, then we had a secondary wave that lasted another minute. Then a body wave that comes out and it lasts a long, long time. About another 7 or 8 minutes. Then we see seismic activity here, other tremors. Then over here, down below after 4:15 this afternoon on this red line, we get tremors, and the tremors build to 2.0 earthquakes. 2.0 earthquakes here at Marktree, Arkansas. This is south of New Madrid, Missouri. It is south of Little Rock, Arkansas. Twist, Arkansas, south of Marktree. We're seeing minor earthquakes and tremors here. Usually we've seen larger earthquakes than this at Twist, Arkansas. Meaning the seismic events have gotten smaller here in southern Arkansas. Okay? Twist, Arkansas this afternoon. Look at this. This is what we would normally see at Twist, Arkansas every day. 3 or 4 in the afternoon at least. And in the morning, we would probably see 6 or 8. Okay? The seismic events here on this blue line. This was after 4:30 this afternoon. Almost closer to 4:45. This was 4:46 p.m. Actually, that's not right. 4:41 p.m. this afternoon. 2.3, 2.4 activity. Then that quickly turns into at least here in the blue. And notice that they cut off the bottom and the top of this seismic event. They cut it off. That means this earthquake was even larger than what they're showing here. Probably 3.5 small earthquake here, at least. At least. Then over here on the left-hand side in the green, this is after 4:46 p.m. this afternoon and going past 4:47. Again, this is at least a 3.0 earthquake right here. Now, I'm not showing you seismic events that are happening right now, this minute. I'm showing you seismic events that have happened all morning and all afternoon long. All morning and all afternoon long here on the New Madrid Fault. Let's go up to Illinois, Stronghurst, Illinois. We don't see any activity hardly at all, just microquakes and minor tremors in the early morning hours. We start seeing some seismic activity here at 11:15, actually about 11, I want to say 11:24 a.m. this morning. Starts off with 2.0 earthquake, and then about a minute later we get a 2.9 3.0 earthquake. Then after that, after 11:44 a.m. this morning, all of a sudden we have a 2.0 earthquake. Okay? This is in Illinois as a result of the New Madrid Fault. On the fault zone, Illinois, guys, Stronghurst, Illinois this afternoon. Look at this. We have some tremors. We have 3 tremors. But over here on the right, this is after 12:43 this afternoon. This looks to be a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake on this blue line here. Prior to that and after that, we have tremors. We had tremors. That's not all, folks. There's more. Let's go over to Evansville, Indiana. Okay, look at this. Nothing more than tiny tremors. Tiny tremors here in Evansville, Indiana. Usually we've also seen earthquakes here in Evansville. This was this morning. Evansville, Indiana, this morning. Let's look at Evansville this afternoon. Still very little tremor activity. Very tiny tremors, but this time it's ongoing tremors. It's not every once in a while. This is ongoing 1.0, 1.1 tremors, and occasionally 1.3. Indiana. Indiana. We've seen larger seismic activity here as well. It happens. This time, Fairfield, Illinois. Fairfield, Illinois, this morning showed almost nothing. Fairfield, Illinois, this afternoon shows a bunch of tremors. A bunch of tremors. Probably 20 to 25 tremors here, as well as ongoing minor tremor activity, 1.0, 1.1 tremors ongoing. Okay, this is the northern end of the New Madrid Fault Zone. It's happened. It's happened. Now, let's go down to just north of Arkansas, north to Missouri. Okay? Usually we've seen Barker Cemetery with a bunch of tremors. And as of late, we've also seen some small minor earthquakes. This is just tremor activity this morning. Very low tremor activity this morning. Almost nothing. During this 12-hour period, we are used to seeing 15 to 20 tremors every day. Every morning here at Barker Cemetery, Missouri. Very little of anything at all. Barker Cemetery this afternoon. Again, we're used to seeing about 20 tremors and earthquakes here. The biggest thing that happened today is after 1:58 p.m. this afternoon. A 2.0 earthquake. It may have been two 2.0 earthquakes back to back. And then another one after after 3:05 this afternoon. Another 2.0 earthquake. And tremors. Another 2.0 earthquake and a bunch of tremors. That's Barker Cemetery. Let's go over to East Prairie, Missouri. East Prairie, Missouri. Nothing but tremors here. Just very minor tremors. Here, we're used to seeing, and folks, this is this afternoon. We are used to seeing a bunch of larger tremors here. Very little of anything here. We've actually seen minor earthquakes here in East Prairie, Missouri as well. Very little, if anything, here. Nothing. Guam, Missouri. We're used to seeing good-sized earthquakes here. We have long duration tremor activity here, except at the top and basically the center of this seismogram here. At the top here, this is after 12:15 a.m. this morning. About 12:25 a.m. this morning. I'm sorry, not 12:25. 12:10 a.m. this morning. Okay? We're seeing 2.5, 2.8 earthquakes this morning. Tremor activity. Then we come down to later this morning on this red line. This is after 9:17 a.m. this morning. Now we're seeing 2.0, 2.3, 2.4, and by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, by 9:20 a.m. this morning, we're seeing 2.5, 2.8 earthquake. The rest of this morning is all tremor and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes here. Okay? I'm taking you on a tour of the New Madrid Fault. Missouri this time. On the New Madrid Fault. We're not getting away from it, we're on the fault. Portageville, Missouri this morning. Portageville, Missouri this morning. We've been seeing these larger earthquakes here. Portageville, Missouri had tremors and minor earthquakes. 2.0 to 2.9 here before. Up at the top here on the right-hand side. This is at 12:14 a.m. this morning. Starts off with microquakes and starts building into a good-sized earthquake at 12:15. At 12:15, all of a sudden, we have a 2.8, 2.9, possibly even as large as a 3.0 earthquake here this morning. Portageville, Missouri, early this morning. Then, over here after 2:47 a.m. this morning. Again, before that, we start off with microquakes and tiny tremors. It builds into 2.0 earthquakes, and before it's said and done, all of a sudden we're into 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. And this lasts into 2:45 a.m. Then also we have a secondary wave. That secondary wave lasts over 2 minutes, which means this seismograph was also turned way down. Way down. A 2-minute secondary wave would tell us that this is at least a 3.5 earthquake. And yet they're trying to pass it off here. Trying to make it look like it was a smaller event. Then we jump down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. this morning. At 5:03 a.m. this morning, we've already had microquakes and we've already been building into minor tremors. Then it jumps up to 2.0, 2.2 earthquakes. And then across the next 2 minutes, we have minor seismic activity, minor earthquakes. Now, if the other earthquakes were larger, if the two other earthquakes were larger, then this must have been larger as well. Probably as large as 3.0, maybe a little bit larger. Then another earthquake. Just after 6:45 this morning. Let's count it over here. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Folks, this is at 6:52 a.m. this morning. Folks, this is at least a 3.0 earthquake, if not larger. 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. Right here. Right here. Portisville, Missouri. This is south of the New Madrid. South of the New Madrid. We're having earthquakes. Good-sized earthquakes. This afternoon, the same thing here. 3.0 earthquakes. Look at this earthquake sequence here after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. After 2:08 p.m. this afternoon. 3.2, 3.3 activity easily. This seismic activity lasted over 2 minutes. The primary waves lasted over 2 minutes. Then we have a secondary wave that lasts another minute and a half. This proves to me that this earthquake was at least a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake, maybe a slight bit larger. Then, just after 3:15, we get another earthquake. It started at 3:14, 3:13 this afternoon. Tiny tremors building into a good-sized earthquake. At least a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Portisville, Missouri. Now, 2 years ago, and even 3 years ago, there was nothing here. Just tiny tremors. 1.2, 1.5, 1.7. On my last channel, before it got taken down, I was showing you tiny tremors, and I didn't show it very often because that's all it was everywhere up and down the entire New Madrid Fault. What has happened 2 years later? Now we're seeing 2.0, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here on the New Madrid Fault. Last year we had a 4.5 in Missouri. In 2 years, it's gone from minor tremors to full-blown earthquakes where people feel them. The 4.5 caused some minor damage in homes and businesses there. It's happening, guys. It's happening up and down the entire fault. Let me show you Ridgely, Tennessee this morning. This is on the east side of the fault, just a handful of miles east of the New Madrid. Ridgely, Tennessee. Look at the tremors and small earthquakes hitting here. Last week we had a bunch of small earthquakes hitting here in Ridgely, Tennessee. Constant, from the top of the seismogram to the bottom and left to right. Constant earthquake activity. Minor to small earthquake activity. Here, let me enlarge this here so you can see it. Okay, here, just after 9:28 a.m. this morning, on the red line. On the red line. We're having at least 3.0 earthquake. At least a 3.0 earthquake. And prior to that, let's look here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is at 9:28 a.m. this morning. Prior to that, at 8:50 on the green line in the center of this. Folks, that is a long 10-second lasting earthquake. This was probably a 3.2, 3.5 earthquake this morning. Then, after 9:28 a.m. this morning, we have another 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. Then this comes over to the blue line beneath it on the left. This appears to be a 3.5 earthquake. This earthquake lasted 2 minutes. And then we have a secondary wave out here to the right. That also lasted 2 minutes. So this was at least a 3.5 or larger earthquake here this morning. This morning in Ridgely, Tennessee. And Ridgely, Tennessee was not the only seismic activity in Tennessee. Let me show you Ridgely, Tennessee this afternoon. This is minor. This is very minor compared to what happened in Ridgely, Tennessee this morning. There's nothing here but tremors all afternoon long until I pulled the seismogram. But that's not all, folks. There's more. Tiptonville, Tennessee. Look at this. Tiptonville, Tennessee. Yes, we have evidence of earthquakes. Folks, what do we have here? This is volcanic activity causing a lot of this in Tiptonville, Tennessee. Yes, this is a lot of seismic activity. 3.0, 3.5 activity caused by magma. magma down beneath the surface. Demon Catman says, Ron, the picture's been jumping all broadcasts. Must be the weather. It might be. I'm sorry about it jumping. The audio, Rob says, is 5x5, and I'm glad about that. Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Anyway, this is serious, guys. When we have this kind of activity in Tennessee, there's an issue. There is a volcano over there. The agency would tell us that nothing is going on. I'm telling you guys, you can see it here as well this afternoon. There is volcanic activity over here near Tiptonville, Tennessee to cause this. Yes, this is good earthquake activity, but it's not caused entirely by the New Madrid fault. This is not caused entirely by the New Madrid fault. Now, we've been on here a great deal of the evening. I had a lot of things I wanted to discuss with you. I still have a couple more things. We all have seen a lot of really bad cold weather stretching across north to south, east to west, across the entire United States, and Canada for that matter. This activity is going to continue for another couple days. Cold weather activity is hitting Europe and Scandinavia. Freezing, below freezing temperatures all over Scandinavia and into Europe. Demon Catman, I haven't heard from him telling us about the snow and the cold weather that have hit east of England. I saw pictures earlier today about that. Anyway, guys, that's what's going on. Yes, they are buffering our camera here. Let me try to refresh, or not our camera, they're not buffering the camera, they're buffering our feed here. Heaven forbid they allow us to go through the program. This is a little better. I just refreshed my monitor here. It's still buffering a little bit. If you're buffering, please go out and come back in. We were getting buffered really bad. Okay? Here we're going from 1120 kilobytes per second down to 900. 1252,000 kilobytes per second and down to 900. That's why it's happening. It's on our end. I will find out from my provider why that they have to buffer our program. Why they messed us up. Okay? Because that's what they're doing. They're buffering our program. It could be US or could be YouTube as well. Okay? That's what they do. Folks, I have a lot to say. I've had a lot to say. We've now been on this broadcast over 2 hours. Okay? I appreciate all of you that have been here with us. We have over 136 thumbs up. I appreciate that as well. As I asked, please share this program with everybody you know. Your families, extended family, your neighbors, your friends, the people you work with, and people you talk with on social media. Share it widely. Share it widely. People need this information, folks. I've talked a great deal about the weather. I've talked about Iceland. I spent a great deal of time talking about earthquakes worldwide. Then I gave you a history of the New Madrid Fault. Why? Because, folks, the major activity happened over 5,000 years ago, and it continued until 1812. And even after that, 1849. Major earthquake activity. It's coming again. It's coming again. I can guarantee you it's coming again. And it's coming soon. We went from just tremor activity 2 years ago to full-blown earthquakes. 3.5 and even a 4.5 last year. It's going to happen. Jamagils in Minnesota says, great show tonight, Ron. Thank you. I appreciate that. Folks, if you find it in your heart to donate to our program, on our banner here on the program, you can see our P.O. Box. P.O. Box 422, Valdese, North Carolina. Zip code is 28690. Our Venmo and our PayPal, we have 2 PayPal locations and a Venmo location at the very top of our program description beneath this video today. You can go there and send us donations. You can send us cards and letters. I love cards and letters. I love cards and letters from you all telling me what is going on in your life. What is going on there that maybe we should share here on the air with all of you. Please do that. It would mean a great deal to me. People tuck donations into cards and letters. If you do just a letter, make sure the donation is tucked inside a letter that you write. That way they can't see inside it. Please do that. I've only lost one letter. I haven't lost, but they typed the donation inside one letter in the past 4.5+ years. One letter. So it's okay to send that. We appreciate it. Now, folks, let me share a scripture with you. Let me share a scripture with you. The scripture is very important to me. That's why I enjoy sharing them with you. This says, "And now behold, my people, ye are a stiff-necked people. Wherefore I have spoken plainly unto you, that ye cannot understand. And the words that I have spoken shall stand as a testimony against you. For they are sufficient to teach any man the right way. For the right way is to believe in Christ, and deny him not. For by denying him, you also deny the prophets and the law." We have no reason to deny the Savior. We have every reason to rejoice in our Savior's presence in our lives. We have every reason to worship God, the Eternal Father, and His Son, Jesus Christ. Let us never also forget we have another member of the Godhead. We have the Holy Ghost to help us and to testify of the Savior's power in our lives. Let's not forget the entire Godhead. I appreciate each and every one of you here with us. I love you. I respect you. I appreciate everybody here. Like I asked, please share this program. We've given you a lot of information tonight, a lot. I didn't want this program to last as long as it did, but I had to get this information out. I thought it very important. Please share it. Now, in closing, I ask the Lord to be with you. Please have the Lord present in your life. Accept His good graces. Accept His blessings in your life. Let Him touch you and inspire you and help you with the things that you have to go through. I want to ask a special blessing on my friend and associate Rob. He's my brother. He's one of my pals. I appreciate him a lot. Tomorrow morning, actually Friday morning, he's going to undergo surgery. So I ask a special blessing on Rob and all of you in your lives. May God bless and protect you and give you the things that you need and stand in need of. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.